from Boston, Massachusetts. John, welcome back to WION and great to talk to you. All right, 1 week to go before the mega elections. How do you see both the Republican and Democrat candidates vying for this all-important American vote?
I think they'll continue focusing on those battleground states, the 7 states that they've spent most of their time in over the last month or so. There may be even more targeting. As you pointed out, early voting has been taking place. In some states, more people have voted than in others. Georgia, for example, I think is almost half the voters have already cast their ballot, whereas Michigan, much less so. And so they may target in that way. And also, I'm sure they'll be looking for which states have more undecided people and maybe target those as well.
And can you talk about the major issues which have become a rallying point in these final days before November 5th?
Well, I suspect it will continue with the ones that have been talked about so much already. Certainly, Donald Trump will continue talking about the immigration, the open borders, as he describes it, and the economy. I think with Harris, it's interesting. She has to kind of weigh how much she wants to criticize or kind of point out the dangers of electing Trump versus how much she wants to put forward with her own ideas. I think her closing argument, as you said today, specifically in the same spot where Trump spoke on January 6th, 2021. I think she's going to try to highlight the problematic nature of reelecting Donald Trump from that location.
Jeff Bezos defended his decision to end Washington Post endorsements. His paper did not endorse Kamala Harris. In light of that, we find that many Americans continue to register record low trust in the mass media. How do you see all of these issues playing together?
Well, I think the media, endorsements from the media, they capture attention at the moment. It's not clear that they really have that much impact in a race. Oftentimes, it's people who, the Washington Post, they would have endorsed Kamala Harris. And many of their readers were headed that direction anyway. I mean, Los Angeles Times, the same thing, where they were going to endorse Kamala Harris and the billionaire owner for them. Both papers are owned by billionaires, and both of them said, no, we're not going to do any endorsements this time. I don't know that I don't think it's going to have that much of an impact on the election. I think it is unfortunate that in both cases, they made that decision within a week to 10 days of the election, which I think if they wanted to make that decision, it would have been better made a year ago and remove it from the election dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting. And, it's also interesting. I mean, you talk about how they decided not to endorse, but I found it really interesting that almost 200,000 people also dropped their subscription for the Washington Post because the paper didn't endorse Kamala Harris, which brings me back to what you were saying, that it might have not really mattered whether or not the paper was endorsing Harris or not. I also want to ask you about something that we've been covering, and that's celebrity endorsements. Do you think that this year is different, and that too perhaps might not have so much of an impact with so many Americans concerned about the economy, immigration, and other issues?
And which endorsement? I'm sorry, I didn't catch it.
Celebrity endorsements.
Oh, celebrity endorsements. Yes. A lot more this year than we've seen. And particularly, what's interesting, I think most of the celebrity endorsements are really targeted to a younger generation, whether it's on TikTok or other kinds of social media and music. So there's really an appeal here. And I think Harris really started it, of trying to strike that younger generation, which historically, younger folks have not been great voters. They don't turn out as much. But I think Harris is definitely counting on that, and she's doing quite well, I think, in that age group. And so Trump has tried to match that a little bit, but he doesn't have quite the same pull in that generation that Harris does, I think. So that could make a big difference, a significant difference.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see whether or not it will make a difference or not. It's always a pleasure talking to you, John Ports. Thank you for joining us on WION.
Okay, my pleasure.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.